welcome to another episode of I Demand a Homestead. My name is Amanda, and today what we're going to talk about is my top 10 vegetables that you can plant in the middle of summer, so that way you're going to get a harvest in the fall. So we're in Ontario in Canada, and it is kind of the end of July here, and so I am starting to do my fall planting. What you're looking for in a vegetable that you're going to plant in the late summer or the middle of the summer for fall is something that has a really short kind of length of time before it matures. So whenever you get your seed package, what it should say on the package is, at the bottom, kind of under the picture, it should say the number of days that it takes to mature. So what you want to know is you want to know kind of when your frost dates are, depending on where you are, and that'll give you a good idea about whether or not you have enough time to get those vegetables kind of in and mature. I would usually kind of like not count the last 30 days before the frost, because the vegetable growing is going to slow down, so you want to kind of figure that into your maturity times. They're going to take longer than what they do in the spring. So for us, our first frost is usually around the end of October, and we're the end of July. So technically, so that's like August, September, October. I've got 3 months. So that would be 90 days. I'm not going to grow anything that's going to take 90 days to get ready. It won't be mature by then. So what I'm going to kind of do is I'm going to stop at 60 days. So anything that kind of matures around the 60-day mark or less, I'll plant. Getting back to my top 10. So the first one, which is the easiest probably, is like your leafy greens. Those are usually pretty quick. So like I've got some lettuce here, some mixed lettuce. That one is 25 to 35 days. So it's great, it's perfect. Same thing with the, you can do spinaches. I haven't got any spinach here, but you can. Nice thing about spinach is it's pretty cold tolerant. The lettuces are not. The other one that I like is kale. You might like kale, you might not. But anyway, kale is one of my favorite for getting started for fall vegetables, because again, it will do really, really well in the fall garden. Once it gets established, it can even kind of survive over the winter under the snow. It's pretty crazy. So I'm going to do that one. So those are our leafy greens. Then also beans. Beans or peas are really good to start at this time of year. So I've got some bush beans here. I've got some yellow ones and some green ones. The green ones are 43 days. The yellow ones are 55 days. So they'll both work for me. The other thing that you can do is root crops, as long as they mature fast enough. So for example, I've started some golden turnips. They're already growing in my garden underneath my little hoop row cover, because I don't want the chipmunks to eat them. The other thing I'm going to do is some beets, which I have already got started inside in my little growing area. You could just have them outside on your deck or your patio too, wherever you want. But those ones, again, the turnips are about 60 days, the beets are somewhere similar. The last thing is some of the kind of mixed vegetables. So what I've got is some early cucumbers, and they are 55 days. I've got some bok choy, which is 45 days, and I've got some fennel, which is 60 days. So some of them you're going to want to start directly in the garden, so you'll just direct sow them. And then the other ones you're going to probably want to get started in some pots, just because they just seem to do better that way if you start them in the pots and then kind of transplant them into your garden. It also means that if you're doing that, you can have something growing in your garden while these are kind of getting ready to transplant, and then when they're bigger and that crop is done, you can pull it out and put those in instead. So the things that I'm going to direct seed into the garden, I already did my turnips. I'm going to do my beans directly into the garden, and I'm going to do my salad greens. All of those are going to go directly, and the spinach would go in directly into the garden too. All right. And then the ones that I'm going to start in pots are going to be my kale, just because it seems to get started better that way, cucumbers, my bok choy, and my fennel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some nice kind of seeding mix into these little cells here, and then we'll seed these up. So I have got my trays all nicely filled up with moist soil. So this is a great kind of opportunity if you guys kind of want to start getting into starting plants from seed instead of having to buy them from the nursery. This is a great time to do it because you don't need any special kind of grow lights or greenhouse or anything because it's nice and warm out, right? So this is a good time to try that. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and plant. So I'll start with my cucumbers. You're going to want to read how deep to sow them. And they're 1 inch. That's an inch down. And then I'm just going to put a few seeds, probably like 3 in each one of these holes. And then I just cover them over again with my little butter knife. Very simple. Okay. Now you can mark what you've got planted in each place. I'll be able to tell, I'll just recognize what it is. So I'm not going to worry about that. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of my kale, fennel, and bok choy. And then we'll come back and I'll show you kind of what to do with these while you're waiting for them to sprout and how to take care of them once they have sprouted. All right, so now we've got those 4 things planted, and then I'm going to just put a little dome on top. A lot of your seeding trays will come with these. If not, you can just use some saran wrap. And it's okay if it's kind of directly in contact with the soil, that's okay. As soon as these sprout, you're going to want to take the covers off, otherwise it'll get too hot in here. And if you see a lot of condensation, then I just usually kind of move them off to the side just to keep it from getting too wet in there. So while these are waiting to germinate, they don't need kind of any light on them. So I'm going to probably keep them inside until they germinate, just on my kitchen counter. And then when they germinate, you can either put them outside, someplace that's kind of like partially sunny, partially shady, so it doesn't get too hot for them. And then you're going to want to kind of make sure you're checking on them because these can get dried out pretty quickly. And you want to always kind of make sure that they're staying moist but not sopping wet. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go and direct seed our lettuces and our beans. So this is where I'm going to put that row of beans. I think I had bok choy in here first, and it finished, and then I have put some cardboard down just to kill any weeds that were there. So once I've pulled that cardboard up, you can see that there's like basically nothing growing in here. So that cardboard has pretty much killed all those weeds, which was perfect. So now I'm just going to use my hoe, the sharp end here, and I'm going to dig a furrow so that I can direct sow those beans. I'm going to do a mix of the green beans and then also these, can you see them? These yellow beans as well. I'm kind of roughly following along with the package instructions about how it says you're supposed to do this. And then I've got a little tucked away patch here in the back corner of my garden where it's pretty shady. But shade, lettuces don't mind shade, so this is where I'm going to sow those lettuces. And they're much smaller seeds, so the furrow that you dig can be much shallower. You could just broadcast these if you wanted to too, just kind of throw them out there. But then you'd have to cover them up too, or rake them around. I'm just going to do it this way, just because that's how I want to do it. Then we'll just sprinkle some seeds in there. Really, really simple. And then I'm going to very, very lightly, because these are small seeds, barely just cover them. Cover them too deep, they won't be able to sprout up. So thank you for joining me on another episode of I Demand a Homestead. My name is Amanda, and I hope that you like this video, and if you did, that you'll press the subscribe button as well. You can also press the notification bell so that way you'll know as soon as I release another video. All right, guys, don't mind my chickens making a ruckus in the background. Have a great day, and if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment section. All right, take care. Bye-bye.